Okay, good morning. My apologies for starting very late. I don't like eating on stream, and I had some food to finish. So, thank you for hanging out. Okay. Ugh. So, we're going to go into a story. Very late. About I made tea, and I was making some waffles for my wife, and I was like, okay, rather than mess around trying to put things back in the freezer, I'll have some. Yeah. So anyway, that is that. Waffles are eaten. I am uh proceeding to my own personal challenges now. So over the weekend, Mojo and I discussed maybe using AI tools to try and help us come up with some better designs, some cleaner designs around the application. As I was transitioning into trying to get controls working for permissions, which is the next step, I liked some of the designs, and I was like, okay, let's try and implement them. The problem being that realistically, now is a good time to update. So I upgraded Angular, perfect, no problems. I upgraded Signal Store, I upgraded other things, perfect, no problems. I upgraded PrimeNG. Now PrimeNG was on version 17. Yeah. So if you want to play with UI, Rambling Geek, this is your time. So I upgraded from version 17 to version 19 of PrimeNG, and the entire application was ruined. Right. Um, so yes, I regret doing it in some respects because and partially it was ruined because the way that Angular has shifted, the way that Angular has moved towards more standalone components and away from the module perspective, the way that hey, Sir Timmy, how are you doing? Welcome in. And my apologies. One line, Melanth, Rambling Geek Mojo. Good morning. So yeah, the way that Angular has shifted its design, etc. It looks like PrimeNG embraced that and rebuilt a lot of stuff. There's a lot of deprecated components and behaviors, etc. So I've been spending the last few days trying to get up to where I was, and also learning more about how the difference in how I'm using the code is triggering new problems like infinite loops of queries, failed queries, etc. So you can see instantly the front end for Liquid Sky looks different. Let's get this up and running. Everything's running, yeah. Let's make sure there's no red in here. So we get to sign in, and this is an annoying problem that keeps happening. So basically, the login window gets positioned off the bottom of my screen, which is frustrating. Right, let's go get the email. No, just making some waffles disappear. We log in, and immediately you can see planning dashboard looks a bit different. The fonts are a bit different. The buttons are different. My toggle doesn't work, but if I take that out, everything goes weird. So these are just dumb panels. These are just added in based upon the stuff that we produced. And now we go to planning items, and you can instantly see there's a bit of a layout difference, and also it's not working. So I'm getting 500 errors, and I don't know why. If I remove this component, and you have to remove these now, the imports will stop it from building. What has been happening is the data's been working just fine. Okay, Doug, give me a second. Something is going wrong though, because it's taking its sweet time. I don't know why the Apollo error. I don't know why. I don't know what's doing that. Let's stop and run again. I'll just let the dogs out 1 second. Go. Okay. So basically, for several days, this has been an absolute nightmare to deal with. Like, I don't know what's going wrong. I don't know which piece I'm chasing and which piece I'm not chasing. I am in complete disarray. Like, I'm getting this GraphQL error. The GraphQL error says that it's not authenticated, but I just logged in. You just saw me. Yeah, yeah. So I've had continuing issues with this. And you see, it pops the login screen off the screen, so I have to bring it up. Actually brings it right down in the middle of there. Then I move it over. And then now, Lion Trap. Do I regret doing this? Well, yeah, because it stalled my progress, right? There you go. That's what it should look like. Why logging in and logging out, etc., that causes any difference in the GraphQL piece, I have no idea. Whether it's a difference in the request, whether whatever the users is a different problem. But that is what it looks like now. So we expand that, and it should. Yeah, it's on its own branch. But the problem is there's no point in going back because I need to move forward anyway. So yeah, I can switch back, but when do I do it? Do I make the time longer and come back to it when I've got 8 or 10 months to play around? Like, there'll never be a good time. So I either do it now and figure out some challenges, or I wait even longer and delay, and then 2 years, 3 years goes by, and I'm still on Angular 18 and PrimeMG 17 because I'm scared of updating. This is a common issue, right? And this is the problem with the tool sets that we take on when we don't know whether they combine or don't, and then we don't allow time to address some of these problems. See, this is now failing on the planning items. So I don't know why it's not inserting. Yeah. So yes, this is on a branch, but I don't have any choice but to do this. So I've got I've got a couple of choices, obviously. Realistically, don't do anything. Leave it another 6 months until I've got more app done. Come back and then try and do all this, which will be painful and I'll be dreading it. Proceed, work through all the problems, and hopefully learn about the upgrade and then get into the schedule of upgrading more regularly. And or switch entire frameworks in the hope that something else is better because this is clearly garbage, right? It's not. This is a combination of um, Angular plus PrimeNG updates plus a developer who's not writing probably great Angular code. So I've got to learn. Sally, hello. I was better than later, unless in the later timeline the problem faces itself upstream, which is very unlikely to do. Just finished my exam session and now straight to preparing for internship technical interview. Hey, nice. Good job. I forgot my sub now. Hey. Shao, I'm doing fine. Doing fine. How about you? I'm a huge fan of you, but I'm not going to pretend that switching will make things. It won't make things better because it's the same problems. It's just a different framework of doing things. And again, once you get used to some of these things, once you understand more about these things, then they become a little easier. But I'm in a world of trying to build something using a load of technologies that are moving. And, you know, again, this is why I honestly believe, I think that might be part of the problem. No, that's not part of the problem. I honestly believe that um, learning a little bit more about how to structure and how to lay these things out is going to help me. Now, this was working perfectly fine, time and time again, until I introduced the concept of the project into the page. That is what tripped me up, but I don't know if that's for certain. You can see that the page is not loading correctly. I shouldn't be getting that, right? I'm sending up the valid token. So either the um, now, if this was a production system, this would be a particular problem, right? Because we would not have this luxury. And I think it is again why you should make sure that you allot time to do these things on a regular basis. If you're like in Angular world, every 6 months they upgrade a release of Angular. If you're not going to put it in production, you should at least have it on your schedule to check it out in a sprint, build it with the new version, see if there's any problems, put a branch into a testable state. No, no, it's not calls because this is working intermittently. It wouldn't work at all if it was something to do with the permissions around making a request. So what I was working on adding the ability to add a new planning item back in, and this all went over on itself. It's the GraphQL error that's bugging me the most because the gateway is doing its interception. Um, hold on. View, program, add internal auth. Okay, so it's expecting internal auth. That's fine. So we saw this a lot in the testing of the gateway stuff, right? So if I make a request, we should see There's my permission. Why do you have no data? Well, that'll cause it, won't it? There's your problem. Why is internal identity not doing anything? View tables, user permissions. Yep, there's user permissions there. Let's start up again. So the way the application is working is the request comes in from the client, the gateway requests from the identity to get the permissions against that request, and then attaches the permissions and puts it into the Redis provider. So the reason why this would fail, and if I give it a minute, it'll change the behavior, would be this is not attaching its permissions. So maybe it's not as problematic as I would think. That should hit here, yes. So user is valid. We query the permissions. This is direct query. There's no, well, we get the result. There's 8 results. We set the expiration minutes. We build an internal token, which looks like that, which has all the permissions we need. And then we continue. There we go. Right. So now other requests should work because we should be able to, now that's another request back to the server. So we're getting the permission, the requirements. Be right back. Taylor wants in. Okay, sorry about that. So we get permissions. So the internal identity part, the infrastructure internal, this is what gets the permissions when we go through, right? So the idea is if we let this one expire, right, that one's expired. When we make a request for another one now, it should hit here. And it should say it has no cache key. Now, we did experience something early on in this where we had an offset where the token was expiring mid-request, but I allowed for that with the token expiration with the overlap minutes. So the token gets a few more minutes. So we hit new token, that gets us there. There's our token. We then store the new token in cache, and we continue on. Right? There we go. And we should be able to see those permissions we expanded. So we don't want to hit here until a minute. So short lifetime right now on these requests, on these tokens, but yeah. Seeker player. Hello, thank you for the raid. Welcome in. How's it going? Been a while. I feel like I don't like development that much, but it's my job. I can make myself like it. I mean, find something that you enjoy doing with it. Find something that hits those that dopamine hits, right? Um, get some rewards from it. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it well. Yeah. Deflux, good morning. You bullied Seeker Point to try and Blazer. Oh no. Finish learning some C sharp Blazer. How are you finding it? Okay, so this token expired. So let's go and get another token, which gets there. You know, of course, once I've got breakpoints in here, everything's going to work perfectly every single time, right? So we have no issue with the request right a second. It's very different. Well, I'm in my own special world of frustration this morning. And I wish I was a UX expert. Liquid's guy is frustratingly stuck and on the client right this second. Did you design this website yourself? No. So this version of the website. So if we look at this is the current version, the version that's installed on the machine. This is designed by me. So the concept of the application I'm building is that you set up planning items. Planning items can have requirements, and you can attach tasks to requirements. But Mojo didn't like that, so Mojo decided to. No, Mojo and I were talking about using some tooling because I want to get someone who is better at UI UX and can build this out. But obviously that's hey, can you provide free time? So rather than carrying on and making progress with what we're doing, we decided to talk about what it could do. So we put this through AI. Mojo spent a lot of time kind of getting the prompts built and getting it to come up with some ideas. And this was the culmination of some of those ideas with now some creative freedom on top. At the same time, I decided to do upgrades of libraries. All right, I need some sleep. Have a great stream. Seeker Player, thank you very much for coming in with a rating. Have a great rest and take care. Um, So yeah, what we decided to do, what we're looking at is ways of laying out this data and making it a little bit more friendly, right? So in the current version, when you click on a planning item, you have to go over to your right hand side of the screen, look down, see everything, all the stuff's there. These requirements are going to get bigger, they're going to get more unwieldy, and there's also the ability to add tasks to these things, which right now isn't visually represented. So trying to make that a little bit friendlier. So if you create a new planning item, we'll do the pop up rather than the throw the slide in. Which I think this is more mobile friendly, but being that the screen is not built for mobile, that's perfectly fine. So we do the expansion, we show the attachments, requirements, and comments for that thing. There is the concept of a goal that I want to introduce, right? So right now this is description, but I want to make that goal, all right? What is the goal of this planning item, right? What determines this is done? Because there's no point in a description because that will become a story. It's not a story. The requirements tell the story. The planning item is the thing that you say, hey, this is a component of work that can be all joined together and has these requirements, right? That's the concept. So we lay the requirements out. Ultimately, what I'm thinking is that this will have two sides, the requirement side and then any tasks that are attached to it, so you can see what's there. You also be able to add a new requirement, but I'm kind of figuring out where that goes. So yeah. That's that. And you'll also be able to filter these and stuff, right? Even that query I went through before. So yeah. So that's where we are right this second, right? The UI UX is a combined effort. The problem is that I upgraded the libraries to make sure that this was possible, and now the libraries have caused pain, and I'm learning things, right? So I'm using signal stores in here, so the data isn't just requested from an API in the back end of an Angular component, right? So it's not like I'm going in here and loading the data, or rather in here. I'm not saying, hey, go load the data, right? There's actually no API calls coming from the actual component. The only thing that links the back end of the Angular piece and the front end is that I'm referring to the store and getting the filtered items. In there, even, that's only getting its collection filtered. It's not actually making the call to the server. The call to the server is being triggered when I ask for the store for the first time. So what I expect to find here is that I'll have a bunch of issues with lifetimes and with you know when to call data and when to load data and stuff. I think that's where I'm going to suffer the most. So what I was trying to do yesterday was add the concept of a project planning selection in there by creating a control for that. And this is a form control that basically you add in to your page, so I don't have, so I get reusability, and I get and I do the same with the user select, right? That's a control that I built because it's automatically, well, it's not automatically, it's hooked up to the user store and gets the list of users, rather than having this control know about the user store and going getting all that and making this messier. So really embracing the component concept. Um, yeah, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, if you think I'm completely insane, that's also um, okay to share. Um, does anyone else turn off trailing commas and semicolons with prettier? Right now, no. I don't mess around with that sort of stuff. I just kind of visually pick up on them and then correct. It's currently 11 Fahrenheit here, so it's pretty cool still. Now, let's give this a second. So our token should have expired, right? We've got no user token. Does it still function? Well, that's now loaded, so it's not going to make the request again. That loaded. Yeah, there we go. So permissions. Yeah, what's the worst that happens? So yeah, that's that. It doesn't extend the token when it's once it's got a token, it keeps giving that token, because the idea would be that this is. But you see, that's actually not right, is it? That's not pulled the value. That's not got the value at all. That's got an empty token. How can that be getting a valid token? That's empty. Oh no. I'm not blind, am I? I wasn't. Was it just the edit? Was it just this control not showing the right thing? Okay, so it expired that one. Let's go to the second page. That's not all. That's not paging right this second, so that's not a request. Now that should be a request. Okay. There's definitely a value there. That's fine. Okay. Oh, you are streaming. Didn't see the notifications, so assume the opposite. Where is Delta? Did I not push? Yeah, push. I pushed the notifications. Did I not? Yes. Okay. Well, apologies. Okay. So boys, would you agree that is working consistently well to believe that the token validation stuff is working? Because I believe that is true. Okay, so let's add this control back in. Assign to. So the concept of projects is one of a planning item can refer to several projects. Knows what I'm all about, right? So we do that, and then we need to add this control back in. So we need assigned projects equals new form control. I think that's an array of string. It's not required. It's not required. Totally optional, that piece. And then we add assigned projects, this dot assigned projects. Okay, so now we go here. We have a drop down. Was this just things weren't running properly in the background? Was this just things were asleep? Interesting. Okay. Um, okay, let's go and look at the current version. So when I do new, we do title, description, date, review date, assign to, and assign projects, right? So in the new version, we're going to do new planning item. Title, goal. We're renaming goal. So I'm going to rename it on the UI first, which there is a dangerous part there in that if I just rename it goal on the front end and then I'm scared to do it on the back end eventually, then you know, I've got I've got a disconnect and it translates differently. But ultimately, I will go and make the change on the server side to align that to goal rather than the description. That's also a good test to do some migration scripts um, to actually take any data out and put it back in and make it goal. And I do want to limit the goal to a certain number of characters, so it can be interesting. Okay, so the title should be a planning item. The goal should be to make planning items work. Did ads finish? Did ads just about to start? Pre-rolls are off for another minute, so yeah. Okay, so no save button enabled. Okay. So the save button is disabled, is form valid, is I'll be right back. Okay. So that we don't need to do this, I don't believe, because I think the way this works, I think there is the concept of form value. Pardon me. And I do something similar on the current one. Yeah. So we can go here. So, that's that. That's that. We don't. Do we have a store? We do have a store. Right, so we know we're going to the. Yeah, we've got the playing item store. So we don't need this method anymore. And save item is what we're triggering. Let's see if things are still loading. Things are not loading again. And we have got GraphQL errors. Why? What? Why does it intermittently give me a blank? Spy that token. There's a token. Or is it a intermittent backend problem that I'm finding because I'm hitting the endpoint so many times? Or is it the client isn't sending it up, so it errors? Well, that's why I'm not a fan of just jamming logs in, because I don't know, and I'd like to identify what would be effective to tell me that. So I don't think it's erroring, but it's as if the client side, if it's the client side, yeah, there's no, there is an error there. A second operation was started on this context instance before previous operation started. Interesting. That's the problem. Two requests are hitting at the same time. But the problem is that's as if it's handling it the same context. It was in internal identity, so it's this piece. That query is being hit and getting the same context, and the first one hasn't finished returning before the second one's hitting it. So multiple active result sets will handle this kind of, but I don't think that's the fix. No, it didn't try to edit anything. There's no database call here. There's no database save here. There is no database save. It's just that query. That's it. Let's try that again with multiple active result sets on. So with Mars turned on, it can deal with the multiple active result sets, but I don't think that's necessarily the right fix for this. Because then, so the way that looks is it doesn't get a token, but it saves whatever I get back, what I give it back. So it's just returning an error, but I'm just going like, yeah, it's fine. I'll take it. And yeah, so yeah, this internal token. And then on this side, yeah, I get it. I don't even check to see if it's a success. I just store whatever it is. Okay, so fetch internal token. Oh yeah, return string empty. Yeah. So what I need to do is on the other side is reject it so it doesn't even get down to that point. So yeah. Okay. That is fine. That's why when I went back and looked and it was populated, is because the next request came in and actually validated fine. But within that minute, I'm going to hit errors. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, that's going to be it. So, this is what I just enabled. So it is the problem, the fact that I had two active connections. But the problem, my issue is those requests were concurrent to the server. Why didn't connection pooling pick that up rather than worrying about, like, I should have got two separate connections. The more I touch TypeScript, the more I don't respect it. database. Yeah, pool DB context factory. So I should have, unless it like knows that I'm asking for something. I'm gonna head to work. Dota, thank you for going by. Oh, sad TS config. Let me know when you figure that out, by the way. Well, to be fair, that's the nature of the underlying, because TypeScript is what a superset is it referred to as a superset of JavaScript. It can't turn all that off anyway. Okay, so we might have some more success now. And talking through this, going through these steps, doing all this is helping. So yeah, okay. Now I need to confirm that I'm getting these signed projects populated. So because that just because I've done that doesn't mean anything. Because I think there's a lack of JSON.stringify signed projects star value. My favorite thing in TypeScript is enums, not even to do with type system law. So hi. Good morning. Morning, Jay. Hope you're well. But is again doing this all the time, building applications, full stack developer. You're telling me that everyone is capable of building a fully perfect front end using all these technologies, going to the back end, building distributed systems and developing refined techniques. Everyone's capable of that? Because if they are, I've yet to meet someone who can do all those things well. I've met people who are awesome on the front end. I've met people who are amazing on the back end. I've met people that are across everything, but I've never met someone who's like, yeah, I can just crush every single piece of it. It's fine. So, JSON does not exist. And there we go. Okay. Oh, don't do it to me again. Are you kidding me? Already? No, there's a token there. No, there's not a token there. That's interesting. Here's what I'm gonna do. This is the sort of fix that will sit there for years. Don't do it. Full stack used to mean front end, back end, but that was before Docker, GraphQL doesn't mean what it used to for me. I mean, full stack still means once we get to the web version, when we had a client and a back end piece, um, full stack, you can do the JavaScript part, you can do the server part. I get that. I get the idea, but I'm not great at everything. I am mediocre at all the parts, right? And that's not. I really think that a good team has a front end specialist who is able to understand the technologies used on the client in really great detail so they can guide anyone working in that and pair with them to help educate them in the pattern. So you essentially have a front end architect and a back end technology architect. And those two people or two groups should communicate. So the problem is, I have a I've always found when building full stack teams, everyone can do everything. But everyone should not do everything. People always gravitate towards their strength. Yeah. Like I'm not tooting my own horn, but I'm achieving things, right? I'm building a complicated back end, and I'm building a front end that uses all those technologies. Am I doing it well? No. Still CSS. Can still have an impact, right? So what I'm going to do is, so I'm still hitting that issue. Something is still causing me to hit that problem. A second operation was started on a context instance before previous operation completed. Let's give it one go at this. And then click all the things. Doing it better than I would. I've also had a lot more experience doing it. So, I still think that I would prefer to work with, specialists who are really good at that front end piece. My impression so far is that full stack sometimes means doing everything mediocre when you could manage your team resources more effective to leverage the individual strengths. Yes. Yeah. Well, the problem becomes silos, right? If you only have one front end dev and then that front end dev takes PTO, what do you do? And that's why I'm saying realistically, what you want is a front end architect, so that that person is kind of setting the standards and putting things into place, and they are then working on a daily basis with the other team members to train them to make sure that they are comfortable working in that framework, and they know, oh, I need to get data, here's how I do it. I need to remove things, here's how I do it. Not, oh, how the hell do we do this? Let's hack it all in there, right? Yeah, we'll pivot. We'll get away from the UI. Um, but it's not knowledge transfer, it's constant working together so that there is no silo. That a developer can say, okay, I can take this front end story, I know exactly what to do. They don't have to come up with new patterns. They don't. Part of the issue I'm having is the fact that I'm having to lay down new design or new pieces, hook things up together. Those things can be answered easily from someone who's got front end knowledge. So and again, on the server side, that front end dev should be able to move to the server side and do server side development if they need to. Because again, if you need to do a full slice of functionality, it's not good if there's oh well, I'm waiting for the back end dev to do their piece, right? That's not an effective way to move forward. So that's the fear, is silos appearing. That's why full stack is appealing, but full stack often comes with compromise, right? So, yeah. So I'm not sure if you read. You see a DB context is transient. DB contents adds a scope, context to scope, which might cause troubles when working with multiple threads. That seems not right. Everyone's got their own opinions on what this is doing. Sort of topical. I found Angular front-end people are able to flex in the back-end a lot more frequently than React people are. That's probably anecdotal, though. So that person was suggesting I'm missing an await. Await get permissions. Await list async as enumerable. A database. Add transient. Yeah, I'm already adding a transient. The suggestions. transient, add transient, everything's transient deliberately. Um, Also, I'm late. What's the TLDR on the bug? um, Mojo. Um, Mojo's the bug. No, um, there's no TLDR. There can't be a TLDR because it's kind of long winded. There's no well, this particular bug that I'm facing right now is the fact that I am hitting the database twice within quick succession, and I am um, getting a conflict in entity framework. That's the bug that I'm currently facing. What it's manifesting as is the UI behavior is out of whack. So I'm glad I got to this point. Um, this particular thing, if you notice, it looks a little different than this, right? Playing around with AI, trying to get some guidance on layout and design, etc. Because I am not an artist. Um, Mojo was working with some of that and came up with some really good designs. I decided let's implement them. At the same time, deciding to upgrade several libraries, and yeah, everything's been on the floor ever since. So I'm now on day 3, day 4. I can't remember. Um, Everything here is defined as add transient, which is what they're saying is the right way to do this, which is the way I thought I understood. I'm hitting a lot of, I'm still, this is caused by same DB contest instance on multiple threads at the same time. This is generally a scoping issue. I don't see in the code you posted. So hold on. Transient would give me the same connection. Should these be scoped and not transient? Is it actually the opposite? I'll say wallpaper for me. Wow, I have a lot of windows open. Yeah. Big stompy robots. My favorite kind. Um Configure, use SQL Server. That's that one, that's that one. um There's no lifetime stuff in this, right? Lifetime, no. Build a get connection string, configure. Oh, there's nothing there that's. So the issue is caused by the fact that I'm hitting the I'm hitting the endpoint multiple times. I'm getting the same context. My chair does not want to move forward. Disposing of contest instance. I'm not opening a transaction. Use SQL Server. Get required service. Why do I need to do that? Oh, because I need to get context. Okay, I get it. That's transient. Don't think that's the right thing to do. I think that's going to trip me up even worse. I believe that's not going to do what I want it to do. Service collection extensions. I don't need domain events. That's fine. Okay. Fine. So if you are new to the stream, if this is your first visit to the stream, I'm building a rather large product management and planning application. Yeah, see, that doesn't like that lifetime. And I've been building it on stream for the past 14 or 15 months, something like that. If you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to join in. You're more than welcome to share your feedback. Yeah, this is the right thing to do. I'm happy to talk about the code. I'm happy to talk about the problems, the design, etc. It doesn't have to be just about me coding. So why does this? So, okay, back to my hack. My hack would be to try it again. So I do have poly enabled in here. So there's a retry policy. Handle HTTP request exception, wait and retry async. But it's not returning an error because it's returning an empty string. Well, no, it's returning an error. It's just handling it. So does this have dot? Wait, does it have? No. Being that I have a valid token, I have to have got a valid token to get into the gateway, right? To get into this piece, I have to be authenticated, which means my token has been validated against Auth0. So to not get a token back from this piece is bad, but I don't want to get it stuck in some sort of infinite loop. If you genuinely aren't allowed in the application, you genuinely aren't allowed, right? So if your permissions have been revoked or your user's been revoked, but you were allowed to log in, that's still a case of a valid login with an invalid user. Dogs. It's cold. 1 second. Sorry. That door pushes open and that draft is brutal. Okay. So I don't want to do it, but an option here would be if this returns an empty string. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's 10 here. I'm heading west today though, so not looking forward to that. Yeah, I'm heading very west today. You realize it was that far? Oh. Okay. Um. So how do we need to solve this problem? We need to solve um the problem of the internal identity problem. We need to solve it. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where? Okay, I'll start that up again. Um, multiple active record sets should work. Um, I don't want to put a transaction on this because it would not be this would be a often hit thing. Morning, Mars. How you doing? I am ready for a fantastic Tuesday. So we are getting. Let's go and see if we can get some errors. Really? We got it first time? not not what I wanted. Yep, we got it first time. Oh. Oh, we're just having all sorts of fun with this today. Just going to be so much fun, this. So that would be, that's the options builder. That's not that. That's that. That's that. That. If configured out is going to not. I don't want to queue requests up behind this, right? These need to go through fast. These need to happen quickly. I did not expect to have this sort of problem arise from this, if I'm honest. So that was caused by that happening. Which looks like is no longer a problem. Okay, so we are getting through 12 seconds. We're not hitting any exceptions. But that's not where I expect this to happen, is it? It's there's there. Yeah, that's what I thought. Not right there. Okay, we'll pivot back to the client side and see if that works. Um, so project multi-select, selected, right value. Where do I do this? Select status, public selected. Oh, is it an array of? This one, do I have an array of stats or do I have an array of I have an array of project. That's a whole different thing. Project on null. The thing I find working with this is that I do a chunk, I get comfortable with using it, and then I forget all about it and move on to something else, and then I have to come back around and do it. But yeah, as much as I don't want to pause and do this, because this is now going to take me several more days to finish. It's going to take me days to get back to where I was on this. Right. Still an error. Still happening on the duplication of uh so I still get that error and I still get the second operation. That's the pool context factory though. That can be scoped. Let's see if that still behaves or misbehaves appropriately. It's just going to bug me until I get the answer there. I understand what the problem is. I just don't understand how to get to the answer in the right combination. Yeah, see. Some services are not able to be constructed. Update user permissions handle lifetime singleton implementation. Cannot consume scoped service. think this can set lifetime. Use creator tracking behavior. We don't need tracking, that's for certain. That will make that quicker. Because without tracking connected, it'll do no. Although I probably had it on the. No, no, I attached tracking. That's weird. Uh, oh, is it there? Configure use SQL Server. Yeah, that's not. That's not no longer valid. That one. So that's options. No, it's not messing around with that anymore. See if that changed anything. What I don't want to do is I don't want to put in that code in the in the gateway side to say, oh, if I get an empty token back, let's just go and ask it again, just make sure, right? Because if I do that, I'm gonna have to put in some unnatural delays to make sure I give it enough time to let the sequence to let the piece go, and also and B, that code's gonna sit there and tell the story that sometimes you don't get a token back for whatever reason, so just deal with it, right? So yes, I could do it to try and move on and make sure that I'm increasing my chances of getting a valid token, but at what cost? Because that code will get hidden. That code will sit there for goodness knows how long. I'll forget about it. I'll move on to other things, and then later on, I'll be like, "Why am I so slow on some of these requests?" Right? And it'll be because I'm hitting conflicts like that, and it's just not what I want to do. Tis not healthy. He says as he hits the issue first time, as 3 requests go to hit the server. Um, that's the sort of compromise you have to make, right? You have to you make those compromises to try in the name of moving things forward, but where do they go? An attempt was made to use a context while it is being configured. That's problem number one. The second problem is when I get 2 uh, connections. Um, so an attempt was made. Let's do this. Delete that. New chat. Um, so one option would be to try and preload the database, so the configuration is done. I don't know how to do that, but we can do it. Like prime it so that it's available. I'm thinking of options that I don't know if they're handled, but things I could try and do. To request hit my server at the same time, I get what's context, why they occur. Now, I could say, oh well, I've got a pending request for this client ID. I could queue them in some weird way where I say, oh well, no, actually I'm waiting on authorization for this piece. But that still feels like a big overcomplication. Hopefully manage the life cycle. Yes, thank you. Set things up as transient. Yes, thank you. That's wonderful. Register your DB contents as scoped. The problem is you can't inject a scoped service into a singleton easily without creating some new scope. That isn't healthy. So they're hitting at the same time. So this is not configured. So they're just asking for the same thing. It's as if the application is starting twice. This is not something that I'm right. So the client is the client has a problem, 100%, right? We are going to continue hitting these sorts of issues. Um, yeah, without a doubt, I'm going to continue hitting these issues. So the more things I add in, the more risk there is. So what's happened there is I'm asking for projects and I'm asking for planning items and I'm asking for users for tenant, and I only get one of them things. They go in quick succession, and that is my issue. If I add another drop down and another lookup, it's going to do it because it's this on init of this is loading that control. Um, yes. So that is a pattern on the client, and that's why it got worse when I introduced the extra project because I increased the chances of it hitting multiple times and failing to get any token once the token expired. But this is a common problem I'm going to face. I can't just say, well, there'll never be more than one request at once. Well, that's just naive. Um, and this pattern is one I need. Yeah, you get a token. You're good. We're all good. Um, I don't want to put. I don't want to put any artificial kind of queuing or so we inject the sender, we inject the DWT builder, we go and get the permissions. this is a mediator request. So this is actually being treated as a singleton. I have no control over this lifetime. I don't think. Mediator. Oh, of course, if it's a singleton, I'm getting the exact same data, the exact same repository. Scope dependency injection not working with mediator. Oh, singletons can't depend on anything but singleton or transient. Anything a singleton depends on is automatically elevated to singleton. Don't inject an mediator. Instead, use a service scope factory to resolve a scope and instantiate your mediator from that. What? Terrible. Really? Yeah, you want a queue inside your already queue-based thing, but I respect the British impulse. Hello, woman. I know you were in here at the beginning. So I'm just kind of clicking through a few things to identify if there's any solves for this in terms of mediators. So the problem is this is treated as a singleton, which means I'm getting the exact same repository, which means I have the exact same connection. I really need these to be transient or scoped if necessary. Scoped would work as well. Transient would work. Scoped would be okay. But because they're treated as a singleton, because it only creates one instance of the permissions, I can't. So a way of doing this, let's validate that it works, right? Let's prove it out before we actually go down the path. If I inject a service provider, right? And then in here we do using var scope equals new equals service provider dot create scope. I'm going to wrap it in the traditional style for right this second. Then var repository equals scope dot service provider dot get required service of repository user permission. Is it? Yeah. It just wants to declare it rather than do that. I don't know if that will necessarily work, but let's find out. You know, it's not a good idea leaving nice warm tea for over 40 minutes. Oh, actually, almost an hour. In cold weather, it's not nice warm tea anymore. Okay. Do I have a different issue now? I seem to have a different issue now, don't I? No, that's not erroring. But it proves nothing. Like, if I have to do that in this one place, I'll live with it, but it's kind of what's to come, right? Okay, let's refresh. We should still get a list of data. We should still be able to navigate. Well, that's going to be valid there. Let's remove that token. Did I make it area? Nope, I did not make it area. Hey, that's looking a little bit more stable. We were happily able to, well, not happily, we were easily able to reproduce it quickly before, so, okay. So what happened there was, instead of injecting the repository, which means I was getting the same exact repository and therefore the same DB context every time, what I do is I inject the service provider into this particular handler and then create a brand new dependency injection scope in there, which means that I get a new a transient copy of the repository, which means I get a transient copy of the DB context, which means I get a guaranteed different DB context. I don't like doing that. Yeah, that's not what I want to do. I wonder if, from an API perspective, is we're not going to do that anymore. We are going to leave tracking off because that gives us back some speed on the query. Add repositories, add transient. I don't think you can do services dot add transient repository. I don't think you can do this particularly. It does give you the provider. Type of repository. Provider. New. What do we think? Do we think that's ever so slightly better from a usability perspective? And by the way, that applies to the entire code base, what I just did. So that is a major change. But now it's done, and I will get myself a guaranteed transient instance of the repository for each call. Maybe? No, it won't work. It will break just the same. That's idiotic, because where I'm doing that is wrong. No, it won't, because I'm still going to get. No, I have to do it the other way. I'm still getting a single instance of the handler, which means I only ever call the handler constructor once. So it doesn't matter how I do that if I do it that other way, because I'm not going to get the chance to call handler constructor a second time to give me the different repository. I have to do it this way. Ugh. It always feels bad when I have to resort to exposing the dependency injection components inside of classes. I don't enjoy that. It's like it should be a transparent component, right? It should be, here's the things you need, not, oh, here's the tools you need to make the things you need yourself. From a testability perspective, it also feels very wrong because then you essentially have to inject something that will give you some, yeah, the configuration of a test around that sort of stuff is messy. But I feel that this has to have been dealt with. I feel there's probably something. Yeah, yeah. We'll let's let's leave that in place. Is one place right now, but I feel that we may hit that problem in the future, just by virtue of it being. Okay. We have loading. That's all we care about for a second. So let's get to the point where we can capture the projects we have here. So in the current version, we have form control is projects. It's attached to the multi-select. What I've done is I've broken that out as a component, and our ng model is now selected. Options, input required, models selected. This on select status, this on change. Event value. Let's try that. Projects change. This on change. I don't think that's right. I think we actually do want that to be projects. Let's try that. New planning item. There you go. There's our projects. That. That at the bottom. Okay. So essentially, this form represents exactly what we have now. We call this goal, but it's description in the current version. We can select a user. We can select projects. We can select a review date. I wonder if there's any configuration on that control. Prime ng, just docs for prime ng. Components, date picker. Oh, is it date picker or calendar now? It's date picker. Yes. Min date is min date. That's a line just this. That. Let's. What the heck? Min date. So if we go to add edit planning item, date picker, min date equals. Another configuration. That'd be awesome if that worked. Yeah, I didn't think so. um, Wakefield tomorrow. Equals new date dot. That's horrendous. It's truly horrendous, but we'll go with it for now. We'll live with it. Okay, so we go here. We can't select today. We can only select tomorrow. That's fine. That works. Data operations. I don't think so. We don't need comments like that. Initiatives. We don't have an initiative yet. That's coming soon. By focusing, like changing the layout, I do prefer this because it does put that's interesting. It does keep you focused in that place. I don't know whether that's actually going to be valid, but it does stop going back and forth, left and right travel, which is, you know, Jira does provide the same sort of layout where you have a right hand panel because of the data. So we may end up with some conflict there, but I feel this is better so far. It's a little cleaner, a little more colorful as well. We're not going to worry about edit right this second. Let's worry about new. So in our new planning item, we do have this. So now the difference here is this form is not just new. So this dot goal. Oh, we don't have a review date. Public. That is required. Why don't you like that? Really? Okay. We don't need that. And then review date, this dot review date. And then this has form control of review date. Assigned user does not exist. Oh, assigned to. And then assign projects. Type planning item, maybe conversion of type to type planning item may be a mistake because neither type sufficiently overlaps with the other. Is missing the form properties ID comments created by user. Well, I don't do it in the original, so what am I doing wrong here? I'm getting exactly what I've got here. So one thing I'm kind of learning my way around is the whole, obviously when I'm creating data, I'm sending it through the client, right? And it's going to the server, right? So like in this case, created by. The created by is being set when it saves in the backend database. So when I create a planning item, it's going up here, it's going through here, it's going into planning and saving that planning item, and created by is attached. On the client, I don't have that data captured right now because I'm not configuring it. So when I query later on, I can populate it if I get that thing back. But I'm still trying to learn my way around. Okay, I care about this object. Just tell me more details about it, or subscriptions in some sort. How do I think about that? So many different pieces to put in place. But I don't populate all the data, which means that sometimes you end up with, out of sync data. The problem with this is not version of type. Right. Projects is an array. We don't have any requirements, attachments, or comments. Assigned user. It's all valid. I do not get it. Yes, I'm abstracting the concept of goal. I'm changing out description for goal, but that's not. So why does this work and that one doesn't? I think I could think is that the come on, it'd be nice to see this working. Add planning item. No. The point as planning item. I don't get you. Planning item stores models. That's the one, right? Planning item here is stores models. Yep. Same one. And this form group reset. Why? So the value of projects is an array of projects. It's not an actual array of IDs. At this point, it's the next phase that actually extracts the IDs and sends them. So I can just pass projects back and forth. Assigned user, unless one of these is not configured the right way. Let's have a look. Yes, assigned user. Should be assigned to, should be a user. Which is that user, which we configure as on null, all right. On null. It's not required. There you go. Okay. So technically, because of the way this is working, everything else should work. So let's do review date descending. Yeah, review date descending, new planning item. Sample item 2025. The item should appear in the list. It's going to be assigned to Jeffrey on the next UI and changes projects. And we'll put it up for review 2 days. Why are you not valid? Um, title, goal, and review date are all set. And disabled is not form valid and not stories pending. Uh, Assigned to Jeffrey. Why? Why do you not show? What? We need to go back and do something. I think I changed something earlier on to make this easier on myself, but I'm actually thinking it's now making it harder. So HMR is the concept of kind of a local hot reload. So it'll reload the component. So if I change that, it won't completely close the dialog every single time. It'll just reload what I've changed in the dialog, is the intent. Whether that works or not, I don't know. I'm still learning my way around this piece as well. Let's do this. New planning item. Sample item. This is a to things work. Assigned to Jeffrey on the 23rd. That never changes. Okay, so that's awesome. Why? Come on. This form group. If it's valid, form group reset, that's different. There's nothing particularly wrong with it other than review date is required, goal and title are required. Review date, goal, and title. Yeah, essentially the same. And then the other two are fine there. Assigned to let's just remove that for a second. Oh, that's interesting. It resets title. Do I not have it wide up on the front end to the right pieces? No, I don't. That's why. Form control title. That's form control goal. That's assigned to. That's assigned projects. That's that. So then we can do disabled equals not form group dot valid and not store dot is pending. And again, we get the, yeah. So sample item, we have a review date, we hit save. Does that work? I don't know. No, that errored. Loki's dreaming. Okay. Bad gateway. 502 bad gateway. That's an error. Oh, that's a totally different issue. That's because we need to run it full stack. So what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to end the stream on a good step forward. on. Let's try this. Let's remove that. We don't need the variable there now. Okay, so we've got the full stack started in theory. Oh, did I just open a second window? No. Sample item next. I should see a sample item next. Item appear here. We're going to assign it to Jeffrey. And we're going to put it on changes in next UI just for. I'm going to set that to be the 24th. And there we go. We saved it. Did that change anything though? It apparently saved it. However, it didn't trigger an update into this data. That's frustrating. Hold on. Oh, did it? No, it didn't. Ooh, it did. It just put it in a funky format. Okay. So there we go. We have a new item in the data store. Did that just update in the background? That did. That just got the latest items. Oh, yes, because I just loaded. When I expanded it, it was there, and it loaded from the database. That's why that just changed. Okay, so I have to run because I have to go get my stuff ready to travel today. However, that is some major success. We've put a hack in place. We'll say a temporary fix in place on the server side. I think what we'll do is we will see that problem with a bit of load testing. So I'm going to put some thought into how to do some effective load testing as we go forward, because I think we'll see that problem occur. Load testing can't hurt because it means it's in place and I can use it and turn it on and off whenever I need and get the application tested. So we move forward with the UI. I think it looks better. We're going to add some buttons in here to add requirements, add attachments, add comments, etc. Talk about what changes looks like. Maybe it's a pop-up or whatever. But yeah, it sent me back, but I think it's worth it. I think the cleaner, more colorful UI is a little bit easier to use. So thank you for joining me. Wallline, are you streaming today? Did you offset to today? I didn't catch your Discord earlier. Should be. Cool. Okay. Well, I highly recommend it. If you like .NET content, Wallline has a great stream, is a great developer. And yeah, I highly recommend. So this will be me for this week. I will return on Monday. I will probably be back in the Discord over the weekend doing some more of this, and hopefully by Monday we can continue on with developers.stream and get into the schedule. So thank you very much for joining me. Take care. We are going to raid Sorcery Story. Sorcery is a positive and energetic person who is building an amazing game. So I recommend hanging out and looking at her game. Yeah, 24 hours would be awesome. But I've got travels to do, so I will see you soon. Take care, and it helps if I raid. Have a great rest of your day. Later all.